All right. It is your girl, E. Davis, author chat with E. Davis, and I am beyond honored to have my dear friend, brother from another mother. We've been friends since the beginning of time, Sam Cubbage, to join us with his book, Hey Boy, a tribute. And thank you so much for just taking the time. Because first of all, this book, it's so I don't want to say basic because I don't want to undermine it, but the simplicity of this book is the epitome of beautiful because he just shares pleasant memories with his father. And you're the only child.
Yes, I am. Yep.
Ah, the chapters are called Memories,
Mm-hmm.
and which I like because it's like, because you're reflecting on a specific time.
Right.
And with that time, like this is how I looked at it. And I'll use the Steeler, I'm going to call it the Steeler tantrum. Um, so now after the Steeler episode, now when it comes to this season, this is what my father expects. And I didn't know that you and your dad hunted.
Well, uh, little side note to that. I didn't hunt for very long.
Uh-huh.
The one thing that I did go out, it was actually squirrel hunting. So I can't remember exactly how old I was, but all I know is that when we saw the squirrel out there somewhere in the woods, and my dad gave me the little like Elmer Fudd type gun, and I pulled the trigger. I fell backwards, and I said, "That's it." So there was no more hunting for me, but he continued to hunt for many, many years. So
And I didn't know that this was a leisure, like a pastime for him.
yeah, one of them. Like every hunting season, he would travel to different places, like Drummond Island, Michigan, and
Mm.
go to his yearly trip to Maine. And yeah, he just had a lot of fun hunting. He and his buddies.
And
So
I like the Cubbage Beagles, the dogs. Um, that was I like the country music because that was just a time of reflection and solace because it said it told a story.
mm-hmm.
I love the Christmas tree because we all have our Christmas esque stories, which is beautiful. Um, you know what I also like? I like the fact you said your dad was a giver and a helper because no matter what was going on, he took the time to help anyone. The Bob, I love everything. I mean, I don't want to give the book away. The Bob Evans, just that time. I also like the fact that he called you boy. That um, my dad would call my brother boy all the time, and back of course in the black culture, when you're called boy by the other race, it's a sign of disrespect. Um, and my grandmother did not like the fact that my dad called my brother boy growing up. Come here, boy. Come here, boy. And she would just get so. I didn't understand why she didn't like it until I got older, understanding the culture. But as I'm reading this, I can hear, "Hey, boy, do you want to get something to eat?" Or, "Hey, boy, what are you doing up?" And I'm it's like that's and you know what? I had made no secret that I was married previously, and I raised my ex husband's two children. And my ex husband's son is the same. They have the same name, and I refer to him as the boy. You know what I mean? Now I called him when I spoke to him. I called him by his name, but I called him the boy. Even in my phone, he's known as the boy. And my daughter laughed. She goes, "Really, mom?" Like I said, well, it was always which one. It was, big one or little one. And I didn't want to say little or big. That just sounds too. And he technically wasn't a junior. So I could relate because it was like the boy. And I could see your parents talking, and I could see your dad say, "Well, talking to your mom, I'm gonna take the boy, here, there." I can actually see this interaction conversation. And I really enjoy um, the memories because each memory I was there. You set the scene, and it wasn't like a over detailed scene. You just put me in this atmosphere, and you told me a story.
All
You know
right.
what I mean?
I'm glad that you were able to follow along and that you and everybody else took that journey with me as far as these memories. So I greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely. Now, with without sounding what's what I want to use. Um, we already know what the inspiration behind it was, but explain to us the inspiration without stating the obvious. Like we know it's something dedicated to your father, but really, what led to was it something that was brewing years ago, or is it something that you thought of in the wake of his passing?
Yep, you're actually right. It was something that I thought of in the wake of his passing because, quite honestly, if my dad were still here, I would have never thought about writing a book. But
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of funny that this was kind of something that just unfortunately happened, but it did make for me to just think about all these different things and memory, as I'm calling them in the book. Uh, just to kind of create that. So yeah, definitely it was something due to his passing that I just thought about. I had to do some sort of tribute to my dad where I know that he would be smiling and proud and quite frankly, every time that I raise that book and every time I see his picture, I can hear him in my head now say, "That's right, boy. You go ahead and you show me to everybody. You put me out there, boy." So
Yeah.
that's basically what that was about.
Now, do you feel that it's helping you with your I don't want to say grieving. I don't like that term. I don't like the term mourning. It's a process that we go through. Is it helping you? Because I know how close you were with your father.
Um, yeah, I mean it does. Being able to write that, have that information and into book, yes, it does. I mean, of course, we all still have our moments, but it does help because, like I said, when I see a smiling face on this book, even the pictures that I do have other places, but this particular picture is like everybody's my favorite picture because I never thought I'd see my dad. I never thought anybody would capture my dad in that type of moment. And I actually think that there might have been somebody out of town that actually came, and I think my mom or somebody snapped that picture.
Hmm.
He, like I said, it was kind of a rare moment for him. He actually stood still long enough for somebody to do that. But yeah, so that's how I feel about the whole thing.
Okay, and I think it's beautiful, and I think it helps those that lost a parent that they were emotion. I don't want to say emotionally connected. Because for example, my brother was a mama's boy, and he's a proud mama to this day. He's a proud mama's boy, and I watch him with his son Nehemiah. My nephew is a little over a year, and he's definitely a daddy's boy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my brother can step out for a hot minute, and Nehemiah is fine. He's quiet. He's the epitome of chill. But when daddy comes in the room, nothing else matters. And he gets a little bit stirred up. He may whine until his daddy is holding him. You know what I mean? And so when you have that connection, especially the connection that I felt reading your book, I feel that anyone that loses a parent and is the overwhelming of inspiration to tribute that parent, it can help them with their healing process, with the accepting process, because we understand this is life and life goes on and such and such and such and such, such and such. But it really is a healing, a book of healing. And like I said, this wasn't my father. In fact, I'm of course I've met your mom. I've actually referred to her as Mama Cubbage, but that's Mama Cubbage, you know what I mean? But I never met your father. But as I'm reading this book and read this book, there was a sense of healing that I needed for my and my father's still living. We have a great relationship. He's a great guy. I am now the parent to him because he doesn't eat the way he's supposed to eat, and I'm wagging my finger. I'm sending him text messages. but it's like it's just a healing journey in what anyone that lost a special person in their life.
Right.
So you don't know how powerful this book is.
Well, like I said, I greatly appreciate you and everyone who's taken the time to look into this book and purchase this book. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to Dad. It means a lot to all of us.
What's your favorite memory?
Well, there's actually a couple.
Okay.
The barbecue pit, of course, is one of the ones, but the other one I guess I can talk about is when we were doing a race.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah,
I can
because
see him like, "Hey, boy," and you're like, "Whoa, oh, okay."
yeah,
The
if
coolest to the hair syndrome almost.
yeah, never in my wildest dreams would I've ever thought that my dad would beat me because I pretty much was saying to him that, man, move aside, old man. You know, you can't beat me. And I found out in about probably about a minute and a half that I know that was the longest minute and a half because it just seemed like it was going in slow motion when I'm winning this race. I'm just running, running, running. Nobody behind me, nobody beside me. And all of a sudden, I see like a little shadow in my left side here, my left eye. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I was like, it's Dad. And so then he is actually right at me, turns around and smiles, and then kicks it into like fourth gear and it's gone. So, and I'm still trying to run to get up the hill up to the house, and by the time I got there, he was already sitting there and
Relaxing.
yeah, sitting there relaxing. What took you so long?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I was done. I was like, did he cheat? I was like trying to like
No.
I'm not as I was trying to understand the physics. I was not trying to understand the ratio. I was like, I said, you know what? It's just he just told his son,
Yeah,
I'm
it
not.
wasn't. It wasn't. See, the difference between my dad and I running, I'm taking steps. My dad was taking strides
Oh, okay. So he was
because he went. It was like really long. So I don't know how he did that. But well, then again, he was always out in the woods. He was probably running around doing other things. But
okay.
I'm just doing the normal running, and I'm like, nope. But he took strides, so that's why he was able to beat me in record time, and I'm still, like I said, running up the street trying to get home. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I was running.
What is the other favorite memory?
Uh, well, probably something really simple because there's the memory I have about eating scrapple.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that I've hated for many, many years. Never thought I hated the way it looked. I hated the way it smelled, but somehow or another, and it's not something I eat on a regular basis, maybe every once every year or something like that. But it just kind of intrigued me because one of the days that, Dad's cooking eggs and has this scrapple. And I'm like, you know what? Can I get some of this, whatever it is, this block thing you're eating? So he says, oh boy, you can't eat that. That'll kill you. That was always
Really?
his thing, whatever he's eating, if I try to eat it, it'll kill me. So I'm like, okay. So he cut me off a little piece and he said, well, what you want to do is put some syrup on it. So I'm like, all right. So I put some syrup on it. So this is pretty good. So I started liking it, believe it or not, ever since then.
I think I had it once years ago. I had it once. I don't remember the taste. Um, and now that I'm vegan, I think I'm almost afraid of it. It's like, okay. But
Mm-hmm.
reading the book, my favorite memory, I believe, is when it's that 4 a.m. coffee time.
Yeah, right
'Cause-
before he went to work.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would get up in the morning. Not all the time, but there's sometimes when I just wake up. I mean, he made a lot of noise in the kitchen. So, I would walk in there and say, hey, Pop. He say, hey, boy, what are you doing up this early? I'm like, well, you're up and I can smell the coffee brewing. So I'm like, he's sitting there reading the newspaper, drinking his coffee, eating a piece of toast, so some eggs. I'm like, okay. So we'd sit there and talk for a couple minutes. And then, he would get his cell phone out the door and start his day.
see, I like that because I'm up around that time, uh,
Mm-hmm.
4 a.m. Um, and I mean, it's just me. Aja is knocked out calling hogs. Greg is calling hogs. And that's how I know when he's exhausted after a long day. If he's exhausted, like spent, is when he snores. And I feel bad because everything is done, but it's like you got to roll over because you 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 sound like a lawnmower. But that 4 a.m. is just that's like my time, my quiet time. I pray, I meditate, I read my Bible, and it's just like me and God. And that's such a personal hour. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that's why I was like, okay, that personal time with you and your dad, that really resonated because, like you said, he's up, he's getting his agenda together, and you're up, and it's just that's like that intimate time as well. One day my daughter will smell the coffee brewing, and she may join me at 4. She's usually going to bed around 2, 3 o'clock, so she's a night owl. But I also like the Christmas tree, because Christmas, it brings that the fresh pine tree in the house.
Hmm.
Um, I love that. I like the scrapple because it was like, let me try the 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 grown up food. I definitely like the shaving memory.
Somehow I knew you were going to say that one.
That
Yeah.
was
That
funny. I
makes
said, oh, he got his little cute little tool kit, his shaving kit. You gonna shave too?
Yo, yeah. Yeah.
that
You had a
that
ball
was
on that one.
that was beyond adorable because again, it was that bond. You know what I mean? Because I wonder if what how would Mr. Cubbage be if there was a girl in the picture? If you had a sister,
I don't know. Well, yeah, he'd be fine. He would have been fine with it.
you think he'll be an overprotective father?
Yes.
Take a
Yes.
minute and think about that one, Sam.
No, it didn't. No, I wouldn't know. Yeah, he would have been overprotective.
She couldn't go nowhere.
Nope.
It's a good thing that, and I love the origin of the Cubbage because I did an uh, DNA, and I found out my origin. And Davis is Irish, and my mother's maiden name is Irish. So I think we may be cousins, Sam. You never
Hey,
know.
we could be kin.
We could be cousins. I loved it. I love the fruit. Because it was more so of go with the flow. Whatever he feels like, I enjoyed. I just enjoyed that. And the blizzards. You know what I think of these two blizzards? I think of the comment, "Where were you when?" The blizzard of '93. I believe I was grounded for not doing my homework, and it was March 15th of '93. And the
Mm.
blizzards, because I remember because March 15th is my cousin's birthday, and not that she had anything planned, but I was saying I'm so glad she didn't have anything planned. March of '93. I remember that blizzard. But March of 2010, um, that was a crazy blizzard because I remember walking home from the bus stop to pick up my daughter from the daycare, and I had on 3-inch heels. Don't ask. And
Ah,
my house is on the hill, so the daycare's house was on the hill, and I had stopped in Barnes and Nobles prior because it was going to be a book weekend. Um, I wasn't even thinking of snow because it was already the winter time. I think it was February, and with Pittsburgh weather, you just never know. You know what I mean?
right.
And I said it's going to be a book weekend because I would crochet for extra money and special projects. So I didn't have any projects to do. It was payday, so it was going to be a book weekend. I got my daughter; she was into I think Junie B. Jones or Dork Diaries, whatever the latest was. I got it for her, and then I came home, and the snow was beginning to stick, and I'm in the 4-inch boots. I'm walking down the hill with her. It was a matter of getting in the house, and again, I did not anticipate a blizzard that we got, maybe 3 feet, 4 feet. Again, Pittsburgh. And the very next, I came home. I think I even ordered pizza. Again, it was just one of those nights where you're just relaxing. And I start reading my book, and she's off in her own world. And it's one of those nights where there's no worry.
Right.
I wake up the next day, my phone is ringing, and one of my friends, she calls me. She says, "Is your electricity on?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because you're calling me on the phone." I hadn't even looked outside yet. And I looked at, she like, because mine's not on the blizzard. I'm like, "What blizzard? What blizzard? Like, it's February." And I was like, white out. I was like, where? I felt like Dorothy in Kansas. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I was like, open up my front door. You, it was just all covered with snow. Like, I said, okay, this is a blizzard. And reading this took me back. And I actually felt jealous of the neighbors because I didn't have the Cubbage support to help. I mean, I had to make a tunnel. I knew nothing about shoveling snow because I always gave somebody a couple dollars to here handle this. You know what I mean? Um, and I was basically trapped in my house for 2 days.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that because that blizzard of 2010, I know that I was working in a different place. I was working like a mid shift. I was working like an 11 to 7:30 because I was
Hmm.
shift ahead for a while. And just like not really seeing what the weather was like. I mean, people were like, I mean, we knew it was snowing because it was wintertime. But then when you looked, I said, okay, it's a couple flakes and it's like, light dusting out there. But then it was like a half an hour later, or no, about an hour later, honestly, is when they had all this snow there. And I'm like, okay. And they were telling people, you need to get home. So, like, okay. So I remember I ended up uh, trying to make it home. So I ended up getting it. I don't know if this person in front of me hadn't braked or whatever they were trying to do, we would have been fine. I know I probably would have made it home a little later, but I would have made it safely. But somehow or another, because they decided to brake, they got stuck, which in turn for me made me get stuck because, well, I was able to keep going up the road, but then I came to uh, Penn Hill Shopping Center.
Okay.
So road I rode, so I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much stuck here. So I was able to drive all the way to Road I Road to Penn Hill Shopping Center, park the car that we had in the parking lot, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do here? So who did I call? My dad.
Your
So
dad.
I said, hey, Dad. He said, hey, boy, what are you doing calling me? I said,
Hey,
well,
boy.
um, believe it or not, Dad, I'm actually kind of stuck here. He said, what do you mean you're stuck? Stuck doing what? And I said, well, I'm stuck because the roads are really bad and I don't know how I'm going to get home tonight. So it's going to take me a while to get home. So he was like, okay, no lie. I mean, he got up out of his chair, got into his big old pickup truck, the 4x4, came and got me, told me, you just leave your car right here,
Yeah.
brought me home. And then Bobby and I were here for, like you said, a couple days. We were in for a couple days. And he said, because it's going to take a couple days to dig out your car. So a couple days came. So dad comes in, picks us up, and we go get the car. And he wasn't lying. Yeah, we had to dig it out, and it was a little hatchback, which was really funny. So we're digging it out, digging it out, digging it out, and letting it run, digging it. But it took a while, so we finally got it out. Plus, the roads were pretty much clear enough at that point. But that was not fun at all. So I definitely remember that blizzard.
I like that the first thing you knew was to call your dad.
Oh yeah, well, look at it this way. My dad's the one with the truck. My mom wasn't.
It was just the point. It was just like,
You know.
um, I mean, I didn't, I was ignorant to the blizzard. And then we had a couple more inches a couple days later. So I don't even think Pittsburgh saw the ground until like mid-March because it was snow on top of snow, and then it was
Mhm.
the cold, so the snow froze. And then I had a large pine tree on the side of my house that the snow attacked, and it was just hanging. And I didn't know plants or anything like that. And so by the springtime, summer, my neighbor said, "You want your tree?" Because he had a fire pit. And I was like, "Is it not going to come back?" He just looked at me like my tree was just slumped over. And I was like, "It's not going to come back?" He was like, "Nah." I said, "That blizzard killed my tree." You know what I mean? So I said, "Yeah, you can have the wood. Just," I said, "Do you cut it down?" It was just funny because it was like you just never know. But I every time I hear "Hey boy" now, it's heartwarming.
Appreciate that.
It's
Yeah,
so heartwarming.
yeah, definitely appreciate that. That was Dad's slogan. I mean, he never really called me Sam.
Hmm.
Never really called. Well, he would call me Sam, but very rarely. He would call
Yeah,
me Boy mostly. He would call me Junior a
yeah.
lot, so either Boy or Junior. But yeah, hey boy, take out the trash. Hey boy, go clean your mom's car. So, hey boy, you wanna run out to the restaurant with me? Things like that. So yeah, that's the because he said hey boy a lot. So and not just to me, but he would say it to all the neighbors and all of his friends. Dude, that was just his slogan. So
Now, you had said prior to the broadcast, but will you write another book?
you know what? I'm not sure yet. Like I said, just gonna let this one marinate first. I'm pleased at how it's working out so far because believe it or not, we actually had someone in Great Britain purchase a copy. So I'm really happy about that. And that really warmed my heart to know that that actually reached another country. So you never know.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your international self.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
That's that's amazing. And again, I just wanted to take the time to take thank you for taking the time to do this author chat. And I'm very glad I got my copy. So next time I see you, I'm gonna maybe just carry it with me because I need you to sign it um, from the Obamas of Pennsylvania.
Hey, stop saying that.
Sam and Bobby, they are the Obamas. But I'd also enjoy the final thought. Um, what I mean? And then with respects to your father, this is just a beautiful tribute. And I know without a shadow of a doubt in my heart that your dad, he is immensely proud of you. I'm proud of you as your friend, but I know for a shadow of a doubt in my heart, your father is immensely proud of you. He's telling the angels, "That's my boy."
Well, yeah, I definitely appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Hang on one second.